neighbor, how are you doing? Well, today on the Half Blacksmith Show, we're going to be making a kukri. Now, kukri is a Nepalese knife. It's from Nepal. Nepal, get it? Whatever, right? But we're going to be making it for my buddy Jason. Now, Jason loves to do all of that woodland survival stuff, and I really need some stuff from him. I really need more deer antlers. I'm running out. I had a couple a guy gave me a long time ago, and now I need like more. And he is outside in the woods all the time, so he finds them a lot more, and I need quite a bit more. I need a lot of deer antlers. I like making deer antler handled knives. They come out really looking nice. But we're going to be making him this kukri because I figured since he does all the survival stuff, possibly he could pick me up a couple more deer sheds in the woods. I have a little bit of woods out here, but honestly, you don't really find all that many deer sheds around here. He comes across quite a bit, so, you know, a little incentive to throw a couple more my way never hurt anybody. I know he'd do it even if I asked him, but, you know, you got to make him something to sweeten the deal. So we're going to be starting with a 10-inch piece of steel. Grab that, and let's get forging. Oh yeah, and I forgot, Jason's a recluse, so I actually do have to find him. I know where he goes hiking all the time, and I know what days he goes hiking, but I got to find him. So it's going to be kind of annoying. Hopefully we don't spook him, but oh well. What's up, everybody? Alright, so we're going to jump straight into the forging with this. We want to start heating up whatever side of the steel you want to make into the handle, alright? It's super easy, and we want to put a curved handle on it. That's what I want to do. You guys feel free to do it however you want to do. Secret to making the curved handle is you just want to pull up on it while you're hammering it. Once you get it to about the shape that you want, start hammering out on the sides to get them down a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a really, really thick handle, and you're gonna have to grind it off later. Now this part's pretty cool. This is how we put in the curve into the blade. All right, it's just a repeated process of smashing the end down and then flattening it out. I'm about to flatten it out in 1 second. There we go. I'm flattening it out, and then you just repeat that process till you get the proper bend that you want. Now you got to be careful. If you bend it too much, you can rip the steel apart, and then you just got to restart, and that's just absolutely no good. So just make sure you guys get a slight angle however you guys want it. It is going to bulge out the part where you bend it, and look at that, see? That's all the angle that we need. Now we're going to jump over and reheat it, and I want the point of this, well, where the point's going to go, where the curve's going to be, I want it to be just a tad bit straighter than it would normally be on a kukri. Normally the point's aiming down. I still want this to kind of be able to thrust just a little bit. Not super effectively, but a little bit more than a standard kukri would allow you to do. Alright, now we're just going to get into shaping the handle, which is super easy. You just want to take it to the grinder, and we're just going to grind it down to get a nice finger groove in it. Yeah, see, that's where the finger groove is going to go. We'll be using a half moon file in just a little bit. That was a bad shot. I shouldn't have put that in. Oh well, it's done. I'm not going to go back and fix it. I got other stuff to do. Look at that. See? Then we're just going to hit that up with the half moon file. Ooh, look at that. Yeah. Now you want to make sure that when you're doing this with the half moon file, you have gloves on, because I believe this is the part where I smashed my finger really good, and by smashed I mean the edge of the steel caught it and I ripped off part of my finger. It's not pleasant. Or maybe it was on a different knife. Anyways, here we're just going to be cutting off the excess steel that we don't need going down into the point. It'll save your grinding wheels, your disc grinders, all that stuff. Just cut it off. It's a lot easier. And we're just going to start shaping the knife into the point of it into exactly what we want. All we're going to be doing now is just shaping the head of the blade, whatever that's officially called. I can't think of it right now, and it's a bit early in the morning. Anyways, you want to make sure both sides of the blade, where the blade's going to go and the spine of the blade, actually touch at the point. What happens is when you're grinding, burrs can pile up and it looks like it's touching, but it's not. You actually have to look on the side and make sure it touches, otherwise you're going to get a bad point later. Now, here, when I was talking about the handle coming out too thick, mine came out just a tad bit too thick, so I want to grind it down with the disc grinder. And now I'm also going to be putting the bevel on with the disc grinder.
This is not a common way to do it. Common way to do it is to get a belt sander and then just make a bevel jig and go back and forth. But I like doing it like this. This is more fun to me. I don't know. It's just, I never really, I used belt sanders plenty of times, put plenty of blades on plenty of knives, but this is just the most fun. I'm just cleaning up the whole thing with the disc grinder, and then we're just going to put the bevel on, and then we'll flip over and we'll do the opposite side. Now, the key is you have to have a good eyeball for where the middle of the blade is when you're going down, because you don't want to pass through the center of the piece of steel that you're working on. You want to make sure you go up and the entire bevel touches the middle. Otherwise, the blade is going to wobble as you go. Now, once you're done, you just want to take the burrs off the blade, and you just want to use a easy whatever. I'm just using a crappy old file to do it. It's super quick, super easy, and I got to take those like divots out later on with a belt sander. Now here we're going to be starting to make the pins for the knife. Now I wanted to use brass pins, but I wanted to use a different style than I've done before. Usually I just make a uniform size, but this time I actually wanted to go small, big, small, and kind of give it a cool little pattern. You can do it however you want, however you guys want to attach handles. I'm just using the brass ones because I think actually at this point I got a deal on a brass handle. Now I'm adding an extra hole so I can put like a lanyard, or you can attach something to it at the end. That's not for the handle. We're just using 3 pins. Once you get the holes drilled, now it's time to harden it. You just want to make sure you heat it up to a bright orange color. Alright, if you don't have it at bright orange, the hardening process isn't going to work right, and then you just want to drop it in water as quickly as possible. Then you want to clean it up on a wire brush. Once that's done, let's start making the handle. Now you want to make a clear, straight marking across the board wherever you want the handle to end. Alright, the beginning of the board is where it starts. There we go, we got our marking. Now you want to be extra careful when you're starting this cut. You want it to be as straight as possible. Now I'm using a handsaw. I like to make straight cuts with handsaws. I feel like I can get them straighter than using it on a like jigsaw or something. I won't use a table saw with it. You want to match up the board that you just cut to the previous piece of wood that you're using so we can get a uniformed size for the handle. You don't want to eyeball this. This is the easiest way that you don't have to. Just make sure the blade's pressed up against the piece of wood and it'll come out as 2 nice same sized pieces. Alright, now we're just going to mark them, not mark them, sorry. We're going to tape it down so that the blade won't move. We get it exactly in the spot that we want it, and we tape it down with a lot of tape. I used a lot of tape on this. And then we're going to drill the holes through one of the pieces of wood. Now we're going to make sure after we drill these holes out, we're going to take the other piece and we're actually going to tape it together, make sure all the sides are even. Then we're going to take the drill and we're going to drill out the holes one more time. Alright, this makes sure that we have even holes on both sides and the handles will end up being even on both sides. It looks really bad when one handle's a little bit further than the other one. Alright, now we're going to take the pins and put them through so that the blocks of wood stay together. And they're going to stay together really hard. Alright, we're going to just make sure all sides are sanded. I actually want to put a little bit of a slant going towards the front. It will end up making it a little bit more ergonomic to hold. It'll feel a lot more comfortable in your hand doing it this way. Alright, once we get that part done, ooh, look at that. It's all flat and even and stuff. Alright, once we get that part done, we're just going to scrape up the spots in between the holes on both pieces of wood. This will make sure that the epoxy that we're going to put on later holds better. We're also going to scratch up the inside of the blade to make sure that the epoxy holds as well. Now you don't want to do too much and you don't want to touch the sides. You want to make sure that you don't go to the sides of the handle nor the sides of where the handle is going to be when you put on the wood pieces, all right? Otherwise it's going to look weird and it's going to mess it up and it's not going to look even. After we get that part, we're going to throw on some epoxy and we're just going to hammer it down in. You want to make sure you do it quickly enough just because if you don't, the epoxy is going to start to set, and then it's just going to get sticky and weird, and you just want to make sure you do it quickly enough. Once you get one side in, just put the epoxy on the inside of the other one, as you can see, and then just smash it down. Now this next part, I'm going to put it in the vice clamp and leave it sit overnight. I've done knives where you don't have to do that, even though you do put the epoxy on. This is just a safety measure to make sure everything sits. And usually my buddy Jared ends up calling me at around this time, being like, hey man, you want to go play pool? And I'm like, yeah, I'm done. So the next day, you just come back, you get it out, and now you got a knife stuck inside a big piece of block of wood. Now we're going to actually shape that into the handle. Now I know other people do it other ways. This is just the easiest way if you're using handmade, or well, not handmade, but homemade stuff, and you don't have fancy tools to get all the crazy precise cuts done. You just want to make sure you start chopping off the biggest pieces that you possibly can, because then the rest we're actually going to take it off with the belt sander. Now if you don't have a belt sander, you can actually use a steel file and shave away the wood. I'm actually going to use that as a piece up here. But you want to make sure that you just get everything flat and even, everything sanded. You want to get all the way down to the steel. You might chunk off a little bit of extra steel, but it's alright. It'll come out looking smooth and really nice. Now, depending on what type of belt sander you're using, grinding, or well, not grinding, sanding on the corner can really mess it up, but this is an old belt sander, so I don't really care too much for it. Now, once you get close to where you made the finger loop, you're not going to be able to actually use the belt sander anymore, and this is where I was saying you're going to actually have to use a half moon file again. But as you can see, I'm also cleaning up the bottom of the knife as well. I'm putting a little bit of an angle there as well. I thought it would look cool, and it actually came out really nice. You just want to curve everything, and look, see, it's coming out very smooth, very clean. It's still pretty boxy and pretty thick, but we'll fix that in just a moment. Now you also have to remember too, when you're sanding this, the brass is going to get extremely hot. So you actually are going to have to take breaks while you're sanding, doing it this way, just because you don't want to catch the wood on fire. And see, here now I'm using the half moon. I've had a knife handle catch on fire because the brass got too hot. And I didn't realize it because I wasn't touching it, and then next thing you know, it starts burning, and then you smell burning glue, and it's just not good, and then you got to run outside and throw it in the water, and now you just waterlogged your handle without putting any stain on it, and it just becomes a big, huge mess. Now, after you run the little corners down to round it out, you want to go through and actually sand it out by hand. Now, I'm not going to show you that part. If you don't know how to sand by hand, go watch a video. I'm not going to show you how to sand by hand. And now, what we're gonna do is look at that. It looks so nice. I'm just gonna let you guys enjoy it for a second. That stain looks really red right there. It's not actually that red. In the next scene you'll see it's not really that red. But I'm using some like old school styled stain I just found laying around my garage. I'm just gonna stain the handle, and then ooh, I forgot how pretty that looked right there. Look how that came out. Look at that. And now I made a custom sheath for it, and look, it's all pretty, and I added a little bit of a lash loop thing for your hand there. But let's see if we can go find Jason now. I don't think he's going to make it easy for us.
All right, so I'm putting my phone in the trees. There's a little bit of branches and stuff that my phone's sitting on, because I got to go find my buddy Jason, and he's not going to make it easy for me, so I got to track him down. Luckily, my boots are covered in mud, and I picked up some sand, so I'm not leaving that like deep of track impressions. So hopefully he's not going to be able to find me, and I can find him first. I'm going to circle around and see if he's like locked onto my trails, and if that's the case, then I can just follow my own trails back and sneak up on him. All right?
What do we got here? Looks like somebody left their phone in the woods. That's a pretty nice phone. Yeah, we should probably figure out who this belongs to. Looks like a person that lost their phone went this way. A nice, easy, wet sand track, which we can read some information. You can see there's no tread on the track, so these are some worn boots. Definitely male from the size. Got 9, 10, 11, 12 inches long, 4 inches wide. Those measurements will help me know I'm tracking the same person. The track here, the deepest part is the toe. When the weight goes forward, that means the person I'm tracking is looking down. And with this scenario, it's for obvious reasons, for their safety. Going up here, got my next track. I'm gonna keep the angle low and keep the sun between me and the light. Again, deepest part is the toe. Track's looking down. Now the 9 inches between this and the next track tell me that they're walking slow. Probably because they're either looking at this or they're looking at avoiding that. Got a T-step here, 2 tracks together. That means my person stopped and making a decision. And a little deeper in the heel here, which, when you take the scenery in, that makes sense. That means my person's looking up, the weight's in the back of the heel. All right, follow a few of these easy tracks. Okay. Now my target that lost his phone has come into debris. This is where most people miss tracks, but as you can see from up top, can't really see much here. If I get down low and I keep the track between me and the source of light, I lose the footprint, and what I gain is a depression. I've got a heel depression right here. I've got a toe depression right here. Toe is always bigger than the heel. It's still my target, 9 inches. 10, 11, 12 by 4. So it's the right footprint that I'm looking for. The toe, which is the bigger bucket, indicates the direction of travel. And there's the heel bucket back there, back of the foot. All right, so I know my target came up this way. Next track is going to be a little trickier to find. If we get low, you can see instead of a footprint now we've got depressions. There's the toe, direction of travel. And there's the heel. Put a better angle on it for you there. All right. Even though this is hard pressed trail up here, got the next track. Again, if you look at it from above, not much to see. If you get down nice and low, you can see where the heel enters. And up here is the toe, still indicating my direction of travel. Wind is always an enemy of the tracker. Oh! Got some big slip tracks down here. Let's take a look at those. And it looks like whoever this phone belongs to took a nice big spill down this ridge. Hey, this phone belong to you?
You're an asshole. Give me a second to get back up there, man.
All right.
Anyways, asshole, since you found me, I was coming here to give you this.
Oh, hey, thanks. Here I thought I was just giving the guy a cell phone back. My civic duty.
No, I was making it for you.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make a new knife to show these guys how to do it.
Oh, that sheath is really nice, but what's inside is even better. A half blacksmith style kukri. Don't get much better than that. You could shave with it. Check how close you got at the same time. Good grip.
Oh, man.
Nice retention. And as always, sharp.
Well, yeah,
Very
that,
nice.
and because like I was thinking like you're in the woods a lot, and I need like some bones and some antlers. So if you ever come across them, just throw any extra my way. I don't care if they're good or not.
Like a fair trade to me.
But yeah, no. So like I was looking back on the videos, and you showed these guys how to do some tracking. So like one of the main questions is like, how did you get into tracking? I know you taught me a lot of what I know about like survival and making bow drill fires and doing a lot of shelters. Like, how'd you get into it?
Absolutely, man. And I've learned a lot about knife making from being at the forge as well. You know, I always liked the woods, camping, stuff like that, and read a book, Tom Brown's The Tracker, and in the back of the book was an address for the school. So I thought, why not? So at college, started taking classes, shelter building, making fire with sticks, and learning how to track and things like that. And now I take a place like this, and you have 1,000 more things to do with something you love. So,
you've been doing this for a long time, and like, what is one of the
like favorite things that you like doing about the whole survival aspect?
Favorite things about the survival skills is that you can take yourself and a knife without a lot of gear and go out in the woods, push yourself, and just really get some cool experiences. Building a shelter with leaves, sleeping in it overnight in freezing temperatures makes things very interesting. Starting a fire with sticks, there's just no feeling like it. It's very personal, very connected to the earth. So I would recommend it for anybody that likes being outside in nature. It's looking for more things to do that'll connect you with it.
And you know, I know with the advent of Naked and Afraid and a lot of like these other survival shows, there's a lot of people wanting to like get into survival training, different types. Like, what would be the best route for somebody who wants to get into it to go? Like, how would they easily get into it?
Definitely finding a quality teacher, make sure your skill set's good. A positive attitude and awareness will carry you so far, but you have to make shelter to stay alive. You have to make fire to stay warm and cook and know how to purify water. And trapping and hunting help too. And I'd say finding a good quality teacher is really the best way. This is just simply something you can't learn from books or TV, unfortunately.
So if you want to leave these people with a final word of advice, man?
Absolutely. Stay aware. Keep your training up, your skills tight, and take care of your people and yourself. And don't forget to reconnect with all of this. Let's test it out with little knife kata. That is a nice knife. Well done.